Imagine an ordinary Friday night in a big American city. You leave a bar, a little tipsy, get into a taxi, and ride to your apartment complex. Everything is familiar: security at the entrance, cameras on every corner, a code lock, the feeling that you're safe. You go inside, ride up to your apartment, close the door, and a few hours later, you are found dead in your own bed.
Sasha Samudin was an ordinary young woman, born and raised in the United States. By age 27, she had already been working in real estate in Orlando for several years. Her daily routine looked like this: meetings with clients, apartment showings, signing lease agreements, talking on the phone and in person. The job required her to always be visible, to smile, to be energetic and outgoing. Friends and colleagues remembered her as very open, positive, with an infectious smile. She easily made new acquaintances, loved spending evenings with company, chatting, laughing, living life to the fullest as a young person in a big city. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious, just a girl living her life. October 16th, 2015, Friday. Sasha, like many her age, went downtown Orlando. Dinner with friends, then bars, music, alcohol. The evening went well. The group cheered for their favorite sports team, joked, drank cocktails. Around midnight, people started to leave. Sasha said goodbye to her friends sometime between 0:30 and 1 o'clock. She was noticeably drunk. Everyone who saw her that evening confirmed it. She got into an Uber. There were two unfamiliar girls in the car, later called Good Samaritans. They noticed Sasha was heavily intoxicated alone and decided it was better to take her home than leave her in that condition. The girls rode with her to the Uptown Place complex on Aloma Avenue. Around 1:45 a.m., they approached the entrance. Sasha was severely intoxicated, stumbling, unable to properly enter the door code, unable to find her key. She had no phone, no ID, no key card with her. The two girls tried to help. They knocked, rang the intercom, but without success. At that moment, the complex security guard, Stephen Duxbury, 35 years old, in full uniform, approached them. He explained that by the rules he could not let in someone without proof of residence. He could not allow her to sleep in the lobby. While they argued at the door, another resident walked by and opened the outer door with his key. Sasha went inside. Duxbury did not stop her. He continued talking to the two girls who expressed concern. Is she okay? Should we walk her up? Duxbury replied that everything was under control. He was patrolling the building. The girls left, reassured that the complex had 24-hour security. Sasha was inside. The cameras recorded every movement she made. She wanders the first floor corridors, trying to get her bearings. Then she takes the elevator to the third floor, where her apartment, number 345, is located. She walks down the hallway, goes into a dead end, comes back, goes down to the first floor again, goes up again. It all looks like complete disorientation from alcohol. At some point, roughly between 2:10 and 2:20, she finally disappears from the camera's view. She is never seen alive on video again. Morning and day of October 17th. Sasha's friends start to worry. Phone goes unanswered. Messages in messengers are read, but no reply. By evening, several people arrive at the complex. They knock on apartment 345. No answer. Silence. They call the police for a welfare check. Officers arrive, force the door open. In the bedroom, on the bed, lay Sasha's body. It was partially covered with a sheet and blanket. Apparently, someone tried to make it look like she was sleeping. Her shirt and bra were torn, her chest exposed. Around her neck, clear signs of strangulation. Medical examiner Dr. Gary Oots, who performed the autopsy, testified in court. Cause of death: mechanical asphyxia from manual strangulation. The fracture of the larynx was so severe that he stated, "In 30 years of practice, I have never seen such severe destruction of the thyroid cartilage." On the head, blunt trauma from blows. On the upper body, multiple bruises and contusions consistent with repeated punches. On the arms, defensive wounds and abrasions from forcible restraint. On the lower body, injuries indicating an attempt at sexual assault. The room smelled strongly of chlorine bleach. The floor, sheets, body, everything had been treated with it. The investigation reached a conclusion very quickly. No signs of forced entry on the door, the lock was intact, no signs of struggle at the entrance. The killer entered lawfully. Either Sasha let him in or he had legitimate access. Access to Uptown Place was limited to residents and security. Security had master keys and override codes that allowed opening any door in the complex, including apartments. On duty that night was Stephen Duxbury. In his first interview, he insisted he patrolled according to the standard schedule, noticed nothing unusual, had never been inside apartment 345, was not acquainted with Sasha. But evidence began to accumulate literally within the first days. On the rim of the toilet in the bathroom, they found a right thumbprint belonging to Duxbury. Under the toilet seat, another of his prints. On the nightstand in the bedroom, a left thumbprint. Foreign DNA on the victim's chest and neck fully matched Duxbury's DNA. The DNA expert in court showed charts, the probability that this DNA came from someone else, 1 in several trillion. On Duxbury's phone in Google search history around 5 a.m. on October 17th was the query, how to bypass a Kwikset digital lock without damage. Exactly that type of lock was on Sasha's apartment door. Cameras showed between 3 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. Duxbury did not appear on his usual patrol routes. He went up to the third floor several times, approached the elevator, entered and exited the hallway where apartment 345 was located. At 6:36 a.m., he carried several large trash bags out of the building to the parking garage, even though security guards were forbidden by job instructions from taking out trash. In the apartment, they found traces of bleach on the floor, on the sheets, on Sasha's body, a clear attempt to destroy biological evidence. Shoe prints at the crime scene matched a pair of Skechers sneakers seized during a search of Duxbury's home. Duxbury took a polygraph test and failed it. On questions, were you in Sasha's apartment that night? Did you cause her harm? The machine registered deception. On October 30th, 2015, Stephen Duxbury was arrested. Charges: first-degree murder, attempted sexual battery with physical force, burglary of a dwelling causing great bodily harm. The trial began on November 13th, 2017 in Orange County Circuit Court. Jury selection went quickly. Then 6 days of hearings. The prosecution presented 101 pieces of evidence. The medical examiner described the mechanism of murder in detail: strangulation with fingers or forearm, multiple blows to the head and body, and attempted but uncompleted sexual assault. The defense called no witnesses. Duxbury refused to testify in court. On November 21st, 2017, the jury retired to deliberate. 4 hours later, they returned with a verdict: guilty on all counts. Judge Lisa Mannion pronounced sentence: 2 life sentences without possibility of parole plus 15 additional years for the burglary charge. In 2019, the 5th District Court of Appeal of Florida reviewed the appeal and upheld the sentence in full. Sasha Samsudin returned home after an ordinary Friday night. She was drunk, disoriented, but still alive. A few hours later, she was gone. The man whom residents of the complex saw every day in uniform, with a security badge, used his position, his keys, his knowledge of the layout, and the trust placed in him to enter the apartment, do harm, and kill. The evidence was direct, material, and overwhelming. The court and jury left no room for reasonable doubt, but every time you see her photographs, smiling, trusting, with an open gaze, the same feeling remains: cold, heavy, trust in the person who is supposed to stand between you and danger can sometimes be the most dangerous thing of all. One night, one access, and everything ends forever. If you're interested in real stories like this one, cases that shocked investigators and changed people's lives, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There are many more stories we're going to uncover together.